What's going on? It's the rundown with me, Joe, and Brandon. JT is not here today, but we're switching gears, Brando. It's a little bit different of a season. Football season has concluded. That means basketball is here. It's snowy out. It's the perfect time to switch over. We got a good episode. Going to be a little bit shorter of an episode since it's the start of the year, but we got a good episode nonetheless, Brando.
Got a great one, and it's especially a privilege. I mean, we've got so much great feedback from football that it was only appropriate to move over to basketball too. We'd had so much requests about it, and so glad to bring it to you. And just based on what we saw here on opening night, which I know we'll get to here in just a minute, Joe. I mean, it's looking like a very interesting CSA season we got coming up. So really looking forward to following it just as fans, and as well, we'll be rooting a little bit. I got to now go from one side of the rivalry to the other, calling Reed City football. Now I got
Yeah,
to
you
go to
got to
Big Rapids
switch up.
basketball. Yeah,
You got
it's
to
got a little
switch
bit of a
up.
switch. But you know what? We're going to make it work. It's for the benefit of the fans and anybody listening. So at the end of the day, that's your viewership no matter who they're rooting for. So it's going to be fun. And especially after opening night, it's going to be a really interesting CSA season, I got a feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe it was last year was the first one where it combined into one. So this is the second year where we're going to have every single team in the CSA just in one conference, one super conference, and we're very much looking forward to that. So I'm going to start it off with the recap of everyone who played Monday, the 27th of November, and then Brandon will close it out with a little preview of what we can expect for the Big Rapids game. But Tri-County absolutely thumped Lakeview 70-35 in their opening game. That was played at Tri-County. Grant was also in action against Ludington. They lost 57-82, kind of a flip-flop of what we saw from that Tri-County Lakeview game. They were at Ludington, so a tough travel as well as a tough loss with that one. Newaygo was home against Comstock Park. They had a 57-43 W for that, which is huge for the CSA. And then Central Montcalm was in action against Saranac, also at home 52-43, a pretty much close, a little bit closer one for that, which was solid scores from around the day. We got a few teams in action as well for this Tuesday, the day that we're recording, the 28th of November. I believe it's White Cloud, Remus, Hills, Reed City is in action as well. Morley is in action, and then Big Rapids is going to close it out too, as well as Kent City. I don't want to forget about them.
Yeah, can't forget about the Eagles, but yeah, especially from the opening night. I mean, you saw obviously Tri County putting a thumping on Lakeview. I think that's a really big win for them, especially last year was a little bit of a struggle of the season. I mean, believe they finished 8-15 on the year and of total, and that's a low number compared. Tri County's usually been very competitive in the CSAA, not necessarily maybe at the top, but they're always giving teams fits. We saw that last year with Big Rapids. That was an absolute thriller of a game down there in Howard City, where I believe it finished was something like 65-61 or something like that. It was a really close and crazy game. So definitely for them, that's a big step forward. Obviously, Ludington is a really good team. I know me and Joe have had our fits playing against the Orioles in our playing careers, and I have actually never beaten them. I really wish we were very close my senior year in the district final
Same.
game, but it's unfortunate. But they're a really good team, and obviously Grant's still kind of on the rebuild mode, trying to get back up, even though they were really a really good year, 500 last year, as opposed to kind of dropping off a little bit the year before. But yeah, especially when you look at the games upcoming here tonight. I mean, Big Rapid Shepherd's obviously going to be the one that I'll be watching because I'll be at Shepherd calling the game on WBRN, so you can tune in there. We'll get to that here in just a minute. But I think McBain, Reed City is also going to be a really fun game. Those are two teams that have a little bit of ties history. Obviously, the Koopman brothers, one of them coaching for each during their historic careers on the benches. So obviously, getting that matchup is going to be fun to see as in non-conference play. Morley and Beal will be very interesting. Morley, a team that was really up, I think, over the last couple years, and have kind of teetered off a little bit over the last couple. They're starting to get on the rebuild. Beal City is obviously a really competitive club in all sports, regardless of level. And then Bullet Creek, Chip Hills. How about Bullet Creek? We saw them for the first time in football against Reed City. Now they're going to go down and play in Remus, so that's going to be fun to see and see how the Chip Hills Warriors do after a really solid season last year, 10-12, which is a big improvement from the year before. So we'll just have to wait and see how that goes. And I believe this will be their second year under their new head coach. So it'll be very interesting to see what they've developed over this last summer, going into the fall and into the early season and winter.
Yeah, it's going to be a solid slate to get the SCSA just really rocking and rolling. I'm excited for this season, Brandon. I think we're going to see some shakeups in the standings all throughout the year and hopefully some good upsets. But you're going to be calling Big Rapids tonight. Hopefully, we'll be able to get out this episode before that game goes down so everybody can get a little bit of preview of what's going to happen. Brandon, let us know what you're expecting and what people can expect on the broadcast for Big Rapids tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be a really interesting game. Both these teams were 20-win teams a year ago, right? So that's obviously a huge start right out of the gate. Two teams that are used to taking W's in the schedule column. So I think it's going to be a really fun game. I just mean when you look at the comparison, Big Rapids definitely has the offensive perspective and the strength in the offensive category, being able to shoot the rock and being able to put up high numbers individually and as a team up on the scoreboard. Shepherd, I think, is a little bit better defensively than they showed last year. Obviously, still trying to work out their personnel to see who they have that are returning from last year's team to this year's team. Haven't got a chance to watch all the film yet. I'll be doing so here over the next few hours before the game, but I think it'll be very interesting. Big Rapids, especially, they're definitely in the mode where they want to be battle tested, and they want to be battle tested early, right? So they get Shepherd right out of the gate. They're going to be playing West Michigan Aviation Academy down in GR next week, and these are all teams that have been really, really good teams the last couple of years. Shepherd, a 20-win team. West Michigan Aviation Academy gave us all we could handle in the opener last year, and I think it was only a 10, 12-point game, but for the majority of the game, it was really in single digits. But Big Rapids especially, I did do the numbers and looking at strength of schedules again for all these 11 teams, and Big Rapids has, I believe, the number one strength of schedule going into this 23-24 season. They're picking the hardest teams, right? So they got obviously a lot of other teams down the stretch that they'll be playing, like TC West, TC St. Francis is a really, really good ball club. I'd be interested to see how that one goes down. And there's a lot of other really good teams that they'll be playing, and especially for how they did in the district last year, which one of the toughest districts in all of MHSAA basketball, especially in Division Two. That's what you're going to have to do, and right. And the other two teams in the top three, Reed City and Chip Hills, both teams, both in that district as well. So they know they're going to have to step it up, and they're going to have to play these tough non-conference teams right out of the gate, and especially towards the end of the season, preparing for their district. So that was a big notable thing that I saw kind of looking forward into this year, and especially Newaygo, I think was last year, actually had the number one strength of schedule. Well, actually, I'll take that back. They were number four in this upcoming year. They were first last year, and now they're number four. I almost said they had number three in my notes here, but they were number four by a tiebreaker. Them and Chip Hills were pretty much neck and neck there in MPR standards for the teams that they're playing this year. But a lot of these teams, especially on the rebuild side, definitely have went down when it comes to other teams opposing MPR that they've scheduled. They want to try to get more wins, which is totally understandable for rebuilding programs. Obviously, you got to play the level that you're at so you can make it competitive and you can get those learning experiences. But especially for the Shepherd game, I think you're going to see, if I'm going to be a predicting man, I think there's going to be a lot of offense in this game. I think Big Rapids is reloading a lot of very good players. Maybe not necessarily as talented of scorers, but they're definitely bringing a little bit better defense and a little bit more chemistry across the board. So that's going to be really interesting to see how this team plays. You got a lot of good returners. Ty Gilcheck down low is going to be in that starting block for Owen Gammons. He did really well in minutes last year. You got Riley Venix, he's that captain, he's that quarterback guy, right? Of course, the captain of the team and the quarterback of football. He's kind of turned into that for basketball. And then you got Gabe Jinga, who's finally healthy, as we're hearing. So that's going to be a huge get for this team. He's an athletic freak. Throw down an alley-oop dunk last year, one of my favorite moments against Chip Hills. So looking forward to seeing him back. And then really how those bench guys are going to move up. There's a lot of really good players that can really handle the ball, shoot the rock, right? Kalen Canale, Cole Cabala, see how those guys kind of fit in the mix. And then there's a couple guys that came in when I was talking to Coach Thomas on the West Michigan Sports Show. They got a couple transfer guys that are coming in as well. A couple of them bringing a lot of size off the bench, which could be a huge get for this team, especially because obviously they had Owen and Ty last year, but being able to use two big guys down low, using that heavy 4-5 sets potentially against some of these smaller teams, that could be a huge get for this ball club. So I think we're going to see a little bit of offense in tonight's game, but I think overall in the season, Big Rapids might not be putting 65, 70 up every game, but I think you're going to see them holding teams to much lower than I think the 50.5 they averaged, giving up the teams last year, maybe towards 45 or 40. So we'll have to wait and see. It's going to be a fun night. You can tune in, WBRN.com, as well as the WBR mobile app, or if you're old school on the radio, love you too, 1460 AM, 96.5 and 107.7 on your car radio, your home radio, or even on your phone. You can get a radio app as well. So it'll be a good game. Looking forward to it. Got a lot of fun festivities for you. And if you want to learn more as well, there'll be an article on WBRN.com, so you can find out all about the season's broadcasts coming up for me and Joe, who will be tag teaming Cardinal basketball this year. Going to be fun, Joe.
I am very excited for it, Brandon. I think it's going to be a good year. It's going to be fun to be able to kind of go back and forth with a play-by-play, but I'm going to be in the studio tonight helping Brandon out. He'll be in person, and it's going to be a solid start to the season. I can tell you that.
Absolutely. And we are also going to be adding score updates live from the studio. So it's not going to just be my voice the entire time you're going to hear. You're going to hear Joe as well, so and vice versa. But
Whoa.
it's going to be fun, especially we got a lot of representatives helping us out with school scores. So, and me and Joe know some people, so we can get some scores very easily. So we'll be tracking some of those games tonight. I know especially Reed City McBain will be one I'll keep my eye on just to see how those two teams start the season. Very good perennial basketball programs and very successful. And especially Bullet Creek Chip Hills. This could be a very interesting matchup. I'll be very curious to see how Bullet Creek does in basketball for Chip Hills. So it'll be very interesting to see that matchup as well. So we'll get you all that starting 6:45 tonight here on Tuesday. It's going to be fun, going to be a wild ride, and hopefully a lot of great basketball to be played on opening night for Queen Shepherd and Big Rapids.
Absolutely. We're going to close it out for the rundown. JT will be joining us next week to kind of have the whole gang back together, which will be a lot of fun and kicking off the rest of basketball season. That's it for the rundown. It's me, Joe, Brandon. Let's have a good day.